Last question I'm going to ask here is from Piet Hein. The question is, we have a patient-facing product. Would it be desirable to propagate the patient's identity all the way to the EHR FHIR calls, or just have one backend access key to leverage for all read requests? And are there any GDPR or auditing considerations that would influence this choice?
It's a really good question. So going back to kind of some of the persona design I was referring to before, like we have patient access, provider access, more of a system access model. You know, unfortunately, like the answer is you can do either or. You know, unfortunately, some of that answer comes down to like what makes the healthcare organization and their security and policy and compliance folks comfortable. You know, I could have one system key and retrieve with that system key access to anybody that, you know, I have ability to query leveraging the FHIR stack. You know, I think a lot of the built in inherently to the EHR landscape is like a user security model. And I think the way a lot of the FHIR APIs that are supported by the major EHR vendors are set up is, you know, the APIs will honor that user security and like what do you have access to as a person if you actually use that correct persona. But if you use a system persona, like you have access to whatever they've given the system user access to, which is pretty much everything. So I think from a GDPR perspective, and you know, you hear some areas like in Sweden where they're making the determination that like patients want to have the ability to like specifically say this particular piece of data is accessible or not accessible to other clinicians, which is a really granular and difficult technical challenge to solve. I think that there's definitely auditing considerations to consider. I would say I'm kind of a geek, so what the phrase that comes to mind is just like with great power comes great responsibility. If you can propagate the patient identity in the slimmest fashion possible for your use case, do it. Don't resort to the system access or the broad backend access key for all your requests unless there's no other option to achieve your outcome, because you're just increasing your risk profile and potentially the own auditing and storage and persistence that you're going to have to do for your customers on your side. So be as slim as you can for as long as you can. And when you can't, then, you know, you're going to have to probably take on some more of the risk and responsibility for storage, persistence, and auditing as far as that goes.